The objection handling section of your sales playbook, I'm almost sure it's an how to ruin your deal tutorial. Most playbooks are built this way. They list common objections and they list a scripted answer. It's too expensive, justify the ROI. It's not a priority, create urgency. We are already working with the competitor, differentiate. It sounds good in theory, but sales is not a tennis game. You don't have to answer back every time you hear an objection. And the objections that are really killing your deals, they are not on this list because the prospect never said them out loud. Today, I'm going to show you how to fix this section of your playbook and the question that your rep should be asking and that most of them are too scared to ask. First thing I want to say, objections are not your enemy. Silence is. In sales, knowledge is power, and not knowing what your prospect have in mind is more dangerous than hearing it. A prospect who pushes back is engaged. A prospect with just nodding and saying that it looks great, that the solution is amazing, they will ghost you and you will never know why. So when you hear an objection, your first reaction should not be fear, it should be deep curiosity. But here is where most reps just go wrong. They hear an objection and they answer immediately. But the objection is never the real problem. The objection is no more than a symptom. And if you treat the symptom without understanding the real cause, you will lose the deal and you will never know why. So the first shift is simple. When you hear an objection, you do not answer. You ask why. Think about it this way. When a prospect asks you a question, your first instinct should not be to answer it, it should be to understand why they are asking this question. I covered this in another video, but let me explain it again. When the prospect says, do you integrate with Slack? If you just show the Slack integration, or if you do not have a Slack integration and try to justify why you don't have it, or if you are explaining that it will be live by the end of the year, you are completely missing all the information you need to close this deal. You just learned nothing. But if you ask, why is that important to you? Now you understand what's going on. You understand what they really need. Maybe their problem is just that their reps, they are missing inbound leads and they want a system to make sure they get a notification. So they are asking about a Slack integration, but maybe you have a better system to offer. Maybe they don't really need a Slack integration. So you have to figure it out. And objections work the very same way. If someone says it's too expensive, very classic, and I'm sure it's in your playbook will say to justify the price, to show the ROI. But why are they saying this? You have no idea. Maybe it was never budgeted. Maybe they are comparing you to a competitor. Maybe the price is a polite way to tell you they are not convinced and they are not interested. But if you don't know which one it is, you cannot answer. Now, here is where it gets harder. This is the part that changes everything. The objections that are really killing your deals, they are not the one your prospect tells you. They are the one they keep for them. Think about the last deal you lost. Sorry for the bad memory. But do you really know why you lost it? Did the prospect call you and say, here are the 3 reasons I'm not buying? I don't think so. They went quiet. They say they need more time. They say they will explore this again next quarter. Maybe someone internally just said no and your contact was not feeling like telling you. Maybe they thought it was the wrong time, but they didn't want it to be rude. Maybe they had a concern about your product and figured it was just easier to stop replying. You never got a chance to address any of it because you never heard it. But it is your job to understand what are their concerns. The prospect is not going to do it for you. They are polite, they don't want conflict, they will just smile and disappear. So ask the uncomfortable questions and drop the happy hears. And do it at the beginning. Do it now. Don't do it when the deal is already dead. Do it during the process, early, often. So now I'm going to share with you 5 questions most reps never ask, but they are the most important ones in the entire sales process. Number 1, who might think this is not the best way to solve this problem? Here we are not asking who's the decision maker or who's the deal breaker. This question gets you to understand the person who disagrees with the approach. The one that will say, I don't think we need a tool for this, or the one that will rather try to build the tool by themselves. That person is never on your call. They are in a Slack thread, they are in a hallway, but they have enough power to kill your deal without even talking to you. If you do not know they exist, you cannot address their concern. And your contact, the one who likes you, they won't fight this battle alone. Number 2, do you see a reason we should not work together? This is a scary one, and most reps are afraid to ask it because they think, what if they say yes? Then good, then you know. And you found out now when you can do something about it, not in 3 weeks when they stop replying. But here is what actually happens most of the time. The prospect says no, I don't see any reason we should not work together. And by saying this out loud, they just sold themselves. They just convinced themselves. And sometimes the answer is, yes, I actually have concern, for instance, about the team not adopting the solution. I don't think the team is really going to use the solution. Now you know it. And here you should not answer, don't worry, we have customer in your industry and the team is using it every day and they rather die than stop using the solution. This is not working. Here you ask, why do you think the team is not going to adopt the solution? And now you can try to solve the problem collaboratively. You can try with your prospect to find a way for the team to use the solution. Number 3, what could go wrong between now and a decision? This one surfaces the blockers that have nothing to do with your product. It could be a reorganization happening in the company. It could be a budget freeze. It could be a competing project that is eating all the attention. The prospect knows those things, but they're not always going to say those. So it's your job to ask and figure out. Number 4, what makes you think this is the right time to implement this solution? This one tests urgency, and most reps would never ask it because they feel like they are giving the prospect an exit. But yes, give your prospect an exit every time you can. If they are not taking the exit, you have a closed-won deal. Number 5, what have you tried so far to solve this problem? This one is not really an objection, it's more a discovery question, but it catches something that others don't. If a prospect tried a solution 2 years ago and nobody used it, they might have concerns it's going to happen again. They might like what you're showing, they might agree the problem is real, but they might be thinking, we tried this and it didn't work. And they're not going to tell it because honestly, it's embarrassing. And they have already decided it will happen again. But if you don't ask, you'll never understand why this deal that looked perfect just fades away. And you will never get a chance to explain why this time it could be different. So here we go, 5 questions, each one surfaces something different. Who disagree, whether the deal makes sense at all, who could block it, if the timing is real, and what they have already tried. These questions, they feel risky, but they are the opposite of risky. They are the safest thing you can do. Step 1. Keep the list of objections. That part is fine and your rep wants to see what they are going to hear. Step 2. Make sure you're adding new ones all the time. Objections change, new competitors show up, the market shifts, so your list has to be up to date. Step 3. Add a column for what this objection really means. It's not an explanation. It's a list of possible causes they are raising this specific objection. Step 4. Please delete the scripted answer, all of them, and replace them with a question. A question that helps your rep understand why the prospect is raising this specific objection. So that's your new format. Objection, what it might really mean, and a question to ask. And then add a second section. The 5 questions every rep should ask on every deal to surface the objection the prospect will never say out loud. Obviously, do not ask those 5 questions in a row, it would be very weird. It is just a framework to help you understand how to surface those objections. Keeping this section alive is the hard part. Your reps are hearing the objections every week. Some of them are in the playbook and most of them are not. If you haven't watched the video about the mistakes I see in Sales Playbook, you can go and watch it. Thank you for watching this video and see you soon.